Are you ready to Skullet? Welcome, everybody, to the Skullet Podcast. My name is Ronnie Fleming. I'm going to be your host through the ups and downs, lefts and rights, and the split ends of this amazing podcast called Skullet. I wrote this, the name. Let's start over. Hello, folks. Welcome to the Skullet Podcast. My name is Ronnie, and we're joined by a hilarious comedian and friend, Pittsburgh's own Jeff Fieldhouse, everyone.
Hey,
put your hands together.
Hey.
What's up, man? Thanks so much for doing it. How you doing?
Thanks for having me. I'm doing good, Ronnie. Excited to be here.
Yeah, first time ever here in Casa de Tim. Tim, our
Yes.
humble host or producer behind the... Let's start over. Let's get ready to skull it. I'm kidding. Well, welcome to Tim's house.
Yeah, thanks for having me, dude. It's
course.
it's very comforting, good vibe.
Hell yeah, man.
Like the pictures of his dad. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Tim's dad looms large, not only in his life, but in his living room.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, that's nice, you know? How you been, man? What's going on?
Not too much, just comedy life, a little bit of golf, a little bit of yuck 'em ups, and
You've been playing golf, I know.
yeah, I love it.
Yeah, you and I were talking on the road. Jeff went on the road with me to Indianapolis and somewhere north of Indianapolis. I forget where.
Yes.
But that's where I learned that Jeff, not only is he a hilarious comic, but he's also a golfer.
Yes, pretty recently, within the last 2 years, I'd say I got the golf bug, which I've always been a hockey guy.
Huh.
Growing up, I loved hockey, but the older you get, the more you realize trying to get 12 dudes for a stick time.
Totally, yeah.
And the more you say that sentence out loud, it doesn't sound that great around even 3 dudes in a room, but hey.
It's true.
But no, it's just as hard, and I always just... Golf never tickled my fancy. My pap loved it, and once I started doing it, I'm looking back on it, and I just want to grab younger me like Billy Madison. It's like, put the hockey stick down, you're not Ovechkin,
Whoa.
and get out there and start golfing. Go to these clubs, get out there. It's great for the mind, body, and soul. All you need is that one good hit. Now, don't get me wrong, it may or may not give me hemorrhoids in 1 month.
Did it?
No.
Okay.
But mentally.
All right.
But it's a game that you get to learn a little bit about yourself, but also hate yourself. I think it's life, Ronnie.
Well, it makes sense that you go from from hockey to golf because
Yes.
it's the same motion in a way.
It's a lot of the same motion, and I do get a lot of guys after I swing go, you play hockey?
Huh. Oh, really?
And at first I thought it was an athlete thing, but then I realized you have a bad hockey swing, and we got to teach you.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Do you find yourself, because I knew it was, somebody was saying that, no, it was Charles Barkley.
Yeah.
Charles Barkley was had a great swing apparently, and then he overthought. Now he can't do it for some reason. It just you see videos and it just doesn't make any sense anymore.
I read somewhere that they said that to be a good golfer, you either have to be very smart or very stupid.
Huh?
Because I think it's a perfect middle ground. And I've noticed at times where I've just gone in there almost just like where you're like, I'm just feeling it. That inner like Mike moment where you're like, is this even Jeff doing it? And you just swing and don't even think twice about it. You play your best. So I think that I'm riding that line on like, I might be just stupid enough to kind of break 80 at some point in my life.
Well, you know, Tim's been really bothering me lately by going to Topgolf. So, and all this time I've just been saying no, and I've come up with excuses when I really don't have anything to do.
Yeah,
but now that you talk about it, I might be doing it.
See, Topgolf is good. It's a good introduction because it has the lights, it has the show. It's the strip club introduction to golf where it's just like, why don't you throw these ones that are balls and get you in? You're like, wow, I guess I like hitting, and I guess you like flirting with a girl. Maybe you'll transition that to a conversation at a Target with a real one instead of at a strip club. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So no, it's a good tool to kind of get out there, but Topgolf's a little overpriced.
Okay.
Go to the driving range.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be around some real ones. At Topgolf, you're going to be around a lot of executives. You're going to be getting vibes of guys that bought houses and now their house broke. You know they can't afford it. They're living the life just for Facebook and not their real life. You go to the driving range. This is where you see some making a murderer type of people. Okay, this is where you're going to find guys that aren't golfing for the game. They're golfing because they need it. Okay, these guys are psychopaths.
Yeah.
And the conversations I've had and overheard there have honestly made my night compared to Topgolf.
I haven't thought about making a murder in a while. That poor guy is still in jail, has yet to see WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I had no idea we'd be talking so much about golf.
Yes.
Recently, I played about 27 holes at a putt-putt place.
Oh,
and I gotta be honest, I'm pretty fucking good.
Yeah, I saw that. Was it the place right down here? It was
in
near
the
the
Strip
Strip
District, yeah.
Yeah, was it the Puttery?
It was not the Puttery.
Redacted.
Do we want to give them a free plug?
We're cutting that, dude.
Okay, we're cutting.
Why? Are they evil?
No, but Ronnie, you could be getting some Benihanas from this. We can
All right,
talk
let's
to the
just
putt
say
shack.
it's a random place that may not be in the Strip District. But if you want me to tell you who it is, DM me specifically.
Redacted.
Let me know, and we'll talk about some money.
You want to get this comic on your radar because he's obviously hitting more than once, hole-in-ones. I've went there to said place, and I wouldn't feel completely fine shouting it out for free. Now, I know that you didn't, but I love the place.
Holy shit,
no,
dude, that was incredible.
I'm kidding, but I've been to the place, and it's a hell of a time. And for you to say you did well, that's not an easy place, Ronnie. So,
well, here's the thing. We had a great time during the middle of the day.
Yeah.
We went. This is a very Tim-centric episode. We went for Tim's birthday.
I went for
Happy
my friend
birthday,
Tim's
Tim.
birthday, so it's very
Who's better, your friend
synchronicities.
Tim or my friend Tim? And this implies that you're not friends with Tim.
That's fucked up because my other friend Tim has been through so much with me.
Wow.
And he's amazing. But Tim is a new friend. So I'll say no to answering
You
that.
don't even answer the question. Well, I'll answer it for you.
Tim McLean, you
your
fucking
friend is
rock,
way
dude.
better than this
Yeah,
Tim. I mean, come on.
I got to play putt shack against Tim.
Oh, shit.
Ooh,
Find
Dolan
the true
Tim.
Tim.
Yeah.
You know what? I think you guys will get along.
Probably.
But
Never met a Tim I don't like.
I'm starting to
Except
get...
my dad, I guess, but
so your dad's a Tim.
I'm a junior.
God.
And I love my dad. I'm just kidding, Father. You have a shrine in my living room.
So, this is the Skullet podcast, you
Yes,
know, and
thanks for
I've
having
been
me.
growing a Skullet. I don't know if you noticed.
Oh, dude, I've known you when you... How long has it been since you came to Pittsburgh first? 2 years?
I've been here for 2 years and 8 months.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. You could have said I was close. Kind of left me hanging out.
I thought you
dry.
actually wanted to know,
No.
but you know, you're right. Look,
I'm
look.
100%.
So sorry. You know, look, fact or fiction, okay? What are we doing here? Are we doing show business or are we doing show friendship here, okay?
No, I actually care about you. Ronnie was one of the few people that started hosting a mic at 565 and putting on shows. And whenever he would go up to host, he actually had really good material and brought the room together and cared about how a show was ran. And it was very refreshing. Like, you were honestly, whenever you came to Pittsburgh, everyone's first thing was like, oh, this guy's funny as fuck, actually knows how to run rooms.
Oh, that's nice.
And gets the shit going. So when I met you, but you were bald. And you also
true.
went through a breakup at this time.
Yes.
And Ronnie, I was going through a breakup
I
at
remember
this
this,
time.
yeah.
And I was starting to bald. And I looked up to you, and I still do. But at this time, I'm like, this guy's doing it, man. You know, like he's here from a different city. And that's where I befriended you.
Yeah.
And that time where I was like, he's a great guy. We started becoming friends. And the more I got to know you and all that stuff, it holds up, buddy. It wasn't fact or fiction. It's the real deal right now. And no, so whenever we first met like 2 years ago, and I was just surprised because you came through the Steel City Arts Foundation.
True.
And there was a whole lot of hubbubaloo in Pittsburgh whenever people heard about that coming. But I was excited because after the whole COVID thing, we had like set rooms, but it seems like everyone was creating their own island. And when you came, you didn't not only brought like 565, but you also brought Don't Tell as well and ran that room. So kind of through that whole transition, us being friends and taking me on the road, it's been cool to see not only like your transition, but for the hair to actually come in, because this whole entire time you would have jokes about a Skullet. There were also little seeds. When I first met you, there was these seeds of Skullet jokes, and I'm like, can he actually grow it?
Oh, wow.
And
So you didn't think it could happen?
Not that I didn't think it, but it's hard. Like, you have to have the certain head, or like not anyone can grow it. And to see now, like, you can actually do it. And now I'm in deep. I want it.
Well, you can kind of see, because it does curl a little bit.
Yes.
You can kind of see, like, this is like a senior photo, Ronnie. Maybe we can throw it up at some point. But I had the ring here, and I had my hair just naturally feathered. You know, it was kind of an amazing look.
Yes.
So now I do it without the hair, and I thought about this today in the shower, actually, about 5 minutes ago. I conditioned, but I was
smell
thinking
great.
about this. Thank you. That I could only do this as a fatherless man. Now, does this make sense? I mean, fatherless unmarried man, I should say. Fatherless. Okay, let me just say this: if your bald dad just started growing a Skullet in the middle, wouldn't that be strange? Like if my dad, I remember this. I remember one time my dad he shaved his mustache, and we were just like, who the fuck is this guy?
No,
you know what I mean?
It is a whole thing where it's like you didn't talk to us about it. Like you didn't run this past the family.
Yeah.
And I'll say this. You're so right, because at first I was waiting for you to explain it, but if you're a dad and you do that,
Yes.
there's gonna be some questions.
Lots of questions. I mean, the thing is, I've got several day jobs right now, right?
Yes.
And I wear a hat because, I mean, this would be so strange. Like, who is this guy selling you? Let's just say I sell juice on the weekends.
Yeah.
Who is selling you juice on the weekends? You know, this guy is kind of like doesn't know he's going bald? You know, like, because it looks like a guy who doesn't realize what he's doing.
Yes, because you have a hairstyle from most movies, I think, in like the late 80s of like cop movies where that hairstyle, it was kind of around the time like Bon Scott, where we had like older men that were just like famous for being singers. Like there's no 56-year-old Bon Scotts anymore on stage or like Steven Tyler. So like your hair is also reminiscent of an era that I love, like movies that I watched on a Sunday to make good old anxiety Jeff feel a little bit better. So, but it's funny now that people see it as like, you don't get what's going on. If anything, I see this and I go, not only does this guy get what's going on, he knows what's going on.
He really gets it.
He really gets it to a deeper degree. And can I say, though, just to full circle it a little bit, from when I first met you and you were balding, we're bald, because it was your jokes. I'm not saying that as a retort. But you were bald and you were broke. You went through a breakup.
Right.
And you're in a new place. And now you really tripled down on being Ronnie. Starting the podcast that you wanted to start that's your own, because it's hard. You could have started 30 different podcasts. We all wanted to. We could have been a content machine, but you didn't. You decided to always do you. And then coming from that, you're in an awesome relationship. Your comedy career is going amazing. Check out his special. It's awesome.
Check it out.
And you're actually growing out the skull. You got all the things you need with it going on. So if someone sees you and thinks that you don't know that you're balding, well, hey, brother, that's their way or the goddamn highway.
That's what I say. You know, sometimes I do wear the hat and I pull it off, and I'm like, I look at the person and it's like,
that would fuck me up if you cut me off, and then you went, and I was like, all right, this guy just showed me his gun without showing me his gun. You showed me that mentally you have shit ready, and I'm not ready for it.
So you mentioned Sundays, old anxiety, Jeff. You still watching movies on Sunday? I know you're a big movie guy.
Yeah, I love movies.
Yeah?
I like to look at Sundays because I also have a girlfriend, and she didn't grow up as much as family being obsessed with pop culture and just whatever good movies out there and just in the know. Like when she grew up, I think it would be like Hannah Montana and stuff like that. When I grew up, you know that George Clooney is the fucking star. Okay, like no one asked.
Yeah.
You know Clooney's a star. You know Dolly Parton is an icon with amazing tits. But that's for another day.
Yeah.
But now it's just different. So I like to show her movies to kind of bring it back a little bit. And it's awesome because right now you look to see what's on Netflix. You get lost in the sauce, every single trailer. But then you see a movie and you see, what's 3 o'clock high? What's 3 o'clock high? Let's press play and I'll fucking show you. Okay, back when movies didn't have as much CGI and they got to write it in the scripts,
Tell 'em,
Ronnie.
Jeff, tell
like
'em.
it's a movie that right from the opening fucking... Back when they had money for good songs to start out. Back when bands wanted their songs to be in movies. And the Days of Confused soundtrack, I mean, can you just put it on a vinyl and stuff like that? So just these movies that kind of take you back to an era that makes you feel good, that makes you not want to check Facebook to see if someone's talking shit. You might check the mail, but that's coming tomorrow. So we're hanging out on a Sunday. You know what I'm saying?
That's incredible. So that's what you saw. Did you see that this Sunday?
Yeah. 3 o'clock high was.
See, dude, when you said that, I was like, I just thought it's 3 o'clock on a Sunday and you're high. So I was like, what's 3 o'clock high?
I'm generally a nice little tooted and booted. Without the toot, I just wanted to sound cool. But I like to get a little stoned. But I've also noticed that I really almost have to like yonder bag myself whenever I'm watching a movie to like not watch it. Because if a movie's not catching you nowadays, the first 2 or 3 minutes, you're checking the Twitters, you're checking Instagram, and then like it or not, you're locked out.
Yeah.
So when I watch a movie, I usually wait that morning or that night, I won't charge my phone because I know in the afternoon I'm going to be watching it. So then I know that my phone is on a percentage where I got to charge it. So then I put it in the corner of the room.
Wow.
Now call it willpower that if it is charged, I'm not going to have it. But I put myself in this no charge predicament.
Yeah.
Now you might catch me in a day where emergency strikes, no movie can be watched, and my phone's on 2%. I'm just realizing this. Scary sitch. I gotta figure this out. I gotta have a backup phone. But yeah, I like to just not have the phone and kind of immerse myself in the movie because I never do. I never just am not on my phone or just not checking something for a solid hour. I like 90.
Yeah, no, it's a nice. No, 90%.
90 minutes.
Oh, okay.
90-minute film.
I agree. These movies they're too long. But no, 90-minute film is great. You been to the theater anytime recently?
Yes, I did go to the movies with you.
That was the last time you went to the movies?
No, but that was the last time that I went to the movies.
I feel so bad about that.
Since I quit drinking alcohol. Because it's one of those things looking back after you stop drinking alcohol where you're like, well, that didn't help. So we saw, I'm even blanking on the movie that we saw.
The shit of the sun. Scorsese movie.
Flower Moon. Son of the Flower Moon.
We sound like the oldest people alive right
I know.
now.
Cut this.
Killers of the Flower Moon.
Killers of the Flower Moon.
DiCaprio.
So we went
De Niro.
to go see Killers of the Flower Moon, and it was right after work, and I had some time to kill before the movie, so I decided, and I was into fasting at that time because I wasn't eating good because I was drinking.
Yeah.
So I was trying to clean it up on certain days. But when you fast and you work a long day where you're working hard, you don't have much energy in you. So I decided that when I get there, I'm like, oh well. I see an old friend, and we're near Shingley Park. So he's like, you want to go on a walk on a trail? I'm like, sure. So we take a hit of a joint. And so when you're fasting, and now you're on a 2-mile walk before the movies, you took a hit of a joint, you haven't eaten anything. And then I get into the movies. I still have another half hour. And Eben texts me because I just did his Gaslight show. They pay well. And he came over. He's like, Jeff, I have the money for you. And I'm like, perfect. Meet me at the bar inside this movie theater because he lives right there.
Yeah.
So he came in. I ordered mozzarella sticks, popcorn. I was like, give me a rum and Coke while we're at it. So now fasting, 2-mile walk, a little bit of devil's lettuce. You order a rum and Coke. You eat some mozzarella cheese sticks. I go to sit down for the movie. It's a fucking 4-hour movie.
It was so long. Dude.
It was so long, and at the end of it, I kind of shit on it pretty hard on the way back to the car. And I could tell in your eyes that maybe you could tell that it maybe wasn't the movie. It maybe was me, not the movie. And looking back on it, that's just one of the times where it's like, alcohol wasn't really helping me enjoy the things that in the moment you're like, I need this drink to kind of hype up this movie.
Oh, really?
And now I'm realizing where I might not hit the J before the movie because some of these movies are great to kind of just be in the moment for, and then kind of midway hit the J when you're on the ride. You know what I'm saying?
So, well, okay, two things there.
Yeah,
so
I went on a tangent, bro.
No, man. So you're not drinking.
Yes.
But also, just to finish that story up, my perspective was. You had worked all day, right?
Yeah.
You were up. What time were you up that day?
That was my old factory job where I was doing the 5 a.m. till 3 p.m.
5 a.m.
Yeah.
So it's so funny because the movie started kind of late.
Yeah.
And it's a 4-hour movie or whatever, how long it is.
Too long.
And I was not working at the time. So that was my job today. That day,
see that
the first thing I did that day was to go to that movie.
That's funny.
I was so wide awake, dude.
Yeah.
I was just like, I did nothing all day, and it's like now it's time for I got to clock in and really take in this fucking movie. We're having a completely different experience. You know what I mean?
Completely outer body, and then in moments I'm going in and out of it, where I'm falling asleep and I'm waking back up and I'm watching this, and then. Now, I'm not even like a good moviegoer. I'm not a good friend because that whole entire time, one of the things that kind of made us a little bit more friends is that we would chop it up randomly about movies.
True,
whenever a Steel City thing would end and we just randomly talk about movies and TV shows. And so now I get to do this thing and see a recent flick and have this conversation with my friend. And I'm not even in the mindset or able to do it. So then I lost out on a connection moment with a friend.
I mean, look, dude.
No, but it's an amalgamation where it's like you kind of don't need these things where the amusement park is it, so you don't need to get stoned for the amusement park. The movie is the high.
Right.
So you don't need to add on to it. If you can, and if you can't handle it, do that. But if it's taking you out of it, not being there for it, and it ruined what was probably a good flick. I haven't gone back to watch it, if we're being honest with you. I don't have fucking 4 hours after golf.
No,
to
who
spare.
does? Who does? I mean, if that's not an argument for sobriety, I don't know what is.
Yeah,
okay?
Exactly.
You ruined a great opportunity to watch a movie with me. I mean, can you imagine? That was your rock bottom.
And maybe Scorsese's last.
That's what I liked about it.
Yeah, well, and that was our middle ground.
Yeah.
As we were waiting to cross the street, where we were like, but it is cool. He kind of said "fuck you" and just went as long as he wanted.
That's the thing, yeah.
Where it's one of those things where it's like, I get it.
Yeah, and she was really good in it.
Oh, I can't yes and that.
Oh, you thought she was bad?
No, I kind of don't remember. Man.
Oh, fair.
I don't fully.
You were blacked out at the time. I forgot.
Not black out, but tired from work.
Yeah.
Overthinking the sitch.
Totally. Yeah.
Too much on the membrane, brother.
Totally, man.
But let's go see a movie again soon.
Yeah.
I saw Long Legs. Did you see it?
Is it good?
You know what? The opening 5 minutes of how he starts the movie and gets it going.
Yeah.
I instantly got that feeling in my head where I'm like, movies are fucking sick,
That's
man.
great.
I fucking love movies.
Yeah.
The way he started, the weird way he decided to add shit, it just reminded me of directors can do what they want, and this is fun.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say. Whatever expectations I had of what I thought the movie was going to be, I left it. I mean, all of our friends had different consensus on it, but we all said that was fun. So it was a fun movie.
I watched the Blake Lively movie.
I heard some hot goss about that. Me and my girlfriend, we watched some breakdown videos on the whole thing on both sides.
I'm on that TikTok too.
So what are your feelings? What are you spewing? Let's get down in it. This is hot goss, and we're talking.
Let's talk about it. This is the movie corner, you guys. Let's see.
We're drinking LaCroix. We're talking hot goss. It's what I like to do.
Let's get
when
our
you start
PJs
drinking,
on.
You become a gossip queen, by the way. But let's fucking go.
First off, the movie itself, pretty good. I mean,
Yeah.
it starts off horrendous.
But is that a sales tact? It wants to get you angry.
Why would it do that?
The Helga Pataki, hey football head, and then you end up loving her.
I mean,
The movie wants to get you because if it's too boring, you're not invested. If you're angry, it's kind of a hate watch.
but I guess so. I'm already there for okay. So
But it sucks. Go forward.
I'm watching like a Hallmark. It's like a Hallmark movie. The dialogue's flat and like Blake Lively sucks. She's not good in it.
And the outfits that she chose, I saw screenshots. It's like if H&M had like a choose your own, just press refresh, and it's just the most basic stuff. It seems like an ad.
Sure.
In the most like bad. It seems like if HGTV shot the movie.
Kind of,
just
yeah.
from screenshots. So the fact
sure.
that Hallmark in that, which nothing against Hallmark, but if you see the budget of this movie, I was expecting you not to say this.
So, but then it eventually heats up. Then you get a love triangle, and it becomes very, it's a novel. Things are it was nice. I was on a date. She cried during it. It was, so it's hard not to.
Good tears or
Happy. She loved it, right? So
Okay.
it was actually the exact opposite, like watching a movie with you because she was really invested.
yes, 100%. Well,
And
and guess what? What I learned from Ben Affleck is that you deal with getting sober and addiction by suffering. And you saying that, as it's a joke, did hurt. But next time we see a movie, I'm not going to drink, so you don't got that on me. But yeah, no, she is in the moment, and I could have made out with you. I could have made a move if I would have just
That
like
was the thing,
been in the moment because you had the arm here, and when I was just like, "Can you move?" and like that was such a fucking drunk idiot thing of me to do. But she cried. Was it 50 Shades of Grey-esque? May I ask?
I mean, it was very sexual.
Very sexual movie. Did you? Okay, too far. Go on.
But it's no, it didn't turn me on.
No, I'm saying after. Did it lead? Was it an alley-oop into sexual? Did you act like the movie?
Listen, I can't.
Even as a joke.
Listen.
It's your life, bro.
Tim's
That's why I
mother
said too
listens
far.
to this podcast, and we will not talk about that kind of
Mrs.
stuff.
T.
Mrs. T. Also, by the way, she thought this was my merch. Sex Human. She listens to the podcast so much she thinks that I have a koozie called Sex Human.
Well, a guy with a skullet either does or doesn't have merch that says sex.
Ronnie wearing a neon wine shirt.
I mean,
she
look.
thinks this is my merch.
I do look like I have a sex dungeon.
You look like you leave that on the counter after you cuck someone's wife. Like that's your wet bandits.
It's like when Derek Jeter would give everyone he slept with a fruit basket.
I thought as a kid that's pretty cool. Have you ever had thoughts growing? I mean, as comics, we obviously didn't have the most self-esteem.
Sure.
But I always thought about stuff like that where I was like, Derek Jeter leaving that, like, he doesn't got to.
Yeah.
Like, that's cool. The fact, like, what all would he leave in it? A scratch off, like a list of his Nana Ziti recipe or something?
I mean, I think he also wrote like
Picture of his ass. That dude's ass was. You ever see him catching a fucking shortstop ball? Was he shortstop? I think he was shortstop.
He was shortstop. Yeah, but I thought he did a signed baseball too.
Okay, so he's giving you a future investment. Like, you can sell that.
And also looking back on it, this guy was prowling around New York or whatever. He was on the scene.
We have been advised by legal counsel to redact this portion.
Well, maybe that's a bad correlation. All right, we'll cut that part. I'm just saying. No, he didn't upset anybody.
Some more of the story, right? He's like, give a gift back.
Redacted.
Cut this.
We got a timestamp with that one there, Tim.
Can we
All right.
please?
Yeah.
Zero me. So, yeah, Derek Jeter.
Just saying. I can't even defend that.
So,
You get it.
but as far as the movie, what side are you on as far as the internet side? Are you on the side of Blake or him?
Oh.
It could be a stunt because the whole thing is
It could be a stunt for sure, but if it was the two, I'd be on his side. Because the whole Blake, I don't like Blake. I don't like Ryan Reynolds either.
Yeah, he's a little like, aren't I funny because I said it quick and kind of sarcastic? I mean, yeah, and Just Friends was he hilarious to me? Sure. Could I name countless other movies? Sure.
No, he had a great stretch in the early run. His early run was incredible.
Waiting?
mean, just Waiting, but yeah, Just Friends. I think that was that's as far as early 2000s movies, I guess, the sex comedies, fantastic. It's up there with American Pie.
American Pie. Are you a Sex Drive guy? Do you remember that movie?
I never saw Sex Drive.
We'll toss it on.
Okay.
That's
Tim?
It is a very funny movie. It's hilarious.
What year was that?
2008, I bet.
9?
Yeah, something like that. What's that?
2009?
Oh, yeah, you can't just Google Sex Drive. My bad.
Yeah, it's gonna say low T.
Oh my god! Maybe put that on a.
2008.
2008. Whoa. Okay.
Damn, dude, that's sick, dude.
Yeah, really funny movie.
I guess I don't know. Blake, I'm not a huge Blake Lively fan, but that's that.
Yeah. Neither am I. It never really tickled my fancy.
What else was she in?
That's what I was about to say. I don't know.
Yeah.
Survey commercial for Skin. I've only seen her in ads. I think
Skins like the.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I have a pair of Skins underwear.
How are they?
And
Do they fit well?
I found out that
On?
they not on. Actually, yes. But I found out about a week or two ago that this is one of the many companies that have forever chemicals in it. Now, tell me what a forever chemical is. Is it also the thing that's in Doritos that's going to kill us? They just keep coming out with a new article about another chemical we're swallowing that's going to kill us, and I can't be invested in all of these forever chemicals. And when they say forever chemical, so am I like the ocean, and that chemical is like the piece of like trash that got thrown in it? It freaks me out. As soon as I like something, I find out it has a forever chemical.
You know, I'm glad you said that because growing up, the only thing we had to be afraid of was the food dye Yellow 5.
What was that all in?
Yellow
like Mountain
5
Dew?
was in Mountain Dew.
That's what I thought.
And what it did was it lowered your sperm count. And that was the thing we were afraid of. Growing up, lowering your sperm count. Now, I went to the doctor recently, and they ran some tests on me, and it turns out I'm infertile. So I could have been drinking all that Mountain Dew.
You could have been enjoying it.
I could have been enjoying it instead of being afraid.
Well, I don't know how true that is because I think Mountain Dew is a very anytime I go at my friends' camps,
Yeah.
all those people were drinking Mountain Dew, and they always had 18 kids. So if it is, I mean, shouts out Mountain Dew for stopping it from being 24 of the McCarthys. But holy shit.
Let's see. Processed pastries, Twinkies, Mountain Dew, fruit drinks, Sunny D, Kool-Aid jammers, and several varieties of Gatorade and Powerade. I love the yellow Gatorade. By the way, that's a lie. I am not infertile that I know of.
Yeah, neither am I.
I haven't been to the doctor in a long time.
Yeah,
We just brushed by that. No one even commented on you.
What's
saying
that?
Yeah.
No one even commented. You're like, I just found out I'm infertile.
I mean, I said it with a straight face.
Yeah.
I'm a great actor. Tim.
Yeah. You're a good actor.
I'm a good actor, not a great actor.
No, I didn't realize you said great till after I said good, and I was like, oh, that sounds fun.
No, I like that, dude. I like it. Keep me honest.
Rewatch the take, you'll see it in my face.
So, we're talking about high school right now.
Yeah.
Sort of. What kind of kid were you in? What were you like in high school? What was high school Jeff like?
I was interesting. I would say I was pretty much friends with everyone.
Okay.
I played sports, so I had a lot of
Hockey?
Yeah, I played hockey. So I also played volleyball in 7th and 8th grade because I got out of class so much.
Yeah.
Pretty much for that whole time of the year, the last 2 periods, you could just leave because it would take long to go to the other schools. And the guy running the volleyball program, he was like, if you want to play, it's 20 bones. And he called $20 20 bones. I thought he was
sick,
the
dude.
coolest guy. So
That
I
is
was like,
sick.
all right, I'm playing for this guy. So that was the start of it. But yeah, I got voted best sense of humor.
Nice.
I beat Mike Tedesco, who was the cooler kid than me. Good friend of mine, but I thought he had it out. But I pulled it out. And honestly, I think I had the vote because I was friends with everyone. Like, I was kind of friends with a little bit everyone. So much so that I had, older friends that when I would hang out with certain friends, they'd be like, you're fucking hanging out with him. And I'd be like, what the fuck? Are we on a hierarchy or something? But looking back on it, I was just goofy. I think that my main thing was in any awkward situation, I just wanted to make you laugh. So I just kind of had a thing for everyone. And if I saw you down the hall, no matter what. And my brother was a really funny kid. And he's a grade above me. So he kind of set the tone where they're like, oh, you're Sam's brother. He's funny and crazy. And so it kind of made it a little bit easier for me to be goofy.
You're like a goofy legacy.
Yeah, exactly. And so, yeah, I in my friend group, There was it started out as like solid 4 of us, and we liked Odd Future at that time. I don't know that. And we just called ourselves Quite Frankly, because we were just a group of, we got high and we're like, quite frankly, that's a cool set of words. So QF. And then we went to like lids and had like QF engraved on hats and stuff like that and started doing it. And then it got like to a group of like 8 or 9 kids, and it got funny and just a little out of control. And then like these other sector of kids started taking it over, and then like they started like getting in trouble and like fighting in school, and kids would be like, yo, are you like a part of that QF? And I'm just like,
oh my God, wow.
I'm like, no, I'm a part of like Quite Frankly. And they're like, well, QE is like starting some shit. And it like expanded to another school of like kids that I'm friends with.
No way.
And like, it's sort of a thing where the school started like tracking down on like that specific group. But I never got in trouble because I was kind of an Eddie Haskell in a way where I never wanted to get in trouble. So like the nights where they were going out to smoke weed at a park, I wouldn't go because I'm like, well, that park always has cops. I'm not going because my dad will not beat my ass, but I'm fucking scared and I respect him. So I would kind of like, I never had the radar on me, but I was still friends and in that unit. So I would always kind of have like the teachers or people be like, yo, what the fuck's going on? And I'm like, I don't know. We weren't bad kids, but we just kind of smoked pot and then like smoked. In 2008 or 9, smoking pot was pretty wild.
That is pretty wild, yeah.
So in that group, those kids were just a little out there. So it kind of just made that. But that was like 9th grade, and then it kind of sectored away from that, and we all became our own humans. But that was just a funny, looking back on it, I thought about that like last week, that we just started a funny thing because we would just like rap but never release it because we have like older brothers, so we didn't want to get made fun of, but we just had like raps. I think out of MySpace song from 5th grade that I uploaded.
Yeah.
That
can we get our hands on that?
I really have tried to find it and I can't. I will love it. I recorded on the bus and the song was called "That's My Wife."
That's my wife.
Yeah, if you can find Quite Frankly on MySpace.
Okay, so we might get that by the end of the episode. So stick around, folks.
I will.
We might get that at the end of the episode.
So yeah, like as normal young white kids, you do the rapping and stuff like that. But then once other kids get into it, they like take it as like a more of a like hierarchy walking around and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't know. So after that stopped, it was more just kind of hockey, and then hanging out with my boys, and we just kind of go on hikes and stuff like that. But I was kind of a very like travel hockey kid. I think my mom didn't want me kind of being left to my own devices and stuff like that, because then you hang out with those kids. So every weekend was either travel hockey or school hockey.
Oh, wow. So
I kind of was hanging out with them, but that's where it kind of was stand-up. I kind of felt like an outsider in the friend group because then I wouldn't be like able to do certain sleepover because I had to be in a tournament or stuff like that. So it was like certain like weekday hangout, but on the weekend I was called like a wild card at one point because they're just like, oh, he's a wild card. We don't know if he can show up because I was in hockey. So kind of you always felt like you were just outside of being like the main core of the group, but you're in and out. So it was a very hockey-centric but goofy friend-centric where we'd just go to a bunch of concerts and stuff. And my brother would always take me to like arcade comedy and we'd go check out shows. And so that's where my friend Lexi Warner signed me up for an open mic my senior year.
Yeah.
And that's where I got to do stand-up. Because all high school I'd make sketches and videos and talk about comedy 24/7, but never do it because I was a pussy. But she signed me up one day and called me and said, you have a show at the Pleasure Bar. Didn't even tell me it was an open mic. So the Pleasure Bar, not far from here in Bloomfield, I did there. I think Aaron Kleiber was the host, and I did my first set. And then from there, went to film school in Florida and did comedy in Florida. So yeah, high school was just being a goofy fuck, smoking weed, and finally doing stand-up.
I like in that story you go right from an Odd Future reference to a Leave It to Beaver reference, which was, that's
kind of my like the pop culture thing where like I like to relate with my parents' stuff and stuff like that because I like learning about this stuff, but then also the Odd Future thing. I feel like it makes you.
No, I was
Swiss Army knife.
I'm like that too. I was like that as well. As far as like seeing like, oh, I got to talk to these old people and stuff, but now it's like nowadays, but it's like I'm always very cognizant of like what are the references this person's gonna understand. Yes. And it's always just like Good Will Hunting and Lion King.
Those are the two main ones.
Those are the two ones you can do.
We grew up, I feel like, in a reference-centric household.
Okay.
Where, like, coming down the stairs, like, I would fall, and I'd be like, shit. My dad would be like, our birds' heads are falling off. Like, he would say, like, a line from a movie. So and, like, my sister, her connecting factor with my dad is she'll, like, do lines all the time. Or we have a screen door at her house, and she'll be like, ah! And then, like, the Ace Ventura thing. Like, my family was just a rotating, like, bits and just lines from movies. And then every Sunday, we were very Italian slash like Polish, and we would go at my grandma's house, and my pap was just like Clint Eastwood to like every single like he ran the TV, and my whole family was just obsessed. My mom's side was obsessed with movies and TV. So it would be like Benny Hill marathons. It would just be like just everything. And then every Sunday they'd be like the new movie came out. So they'd be like, we have to watch Borat together. Or we have to watch like, so then growing up, I'd watch like my first movie I remember watching was like Road Trip, and they covered my eyes during like the sex scene. But like for some reason, like if you swore around my grandma or did any of this stuff, it was horrible. But I was allowed to watch like these wild movies like No Country for Old Men. I'm watching with my grandma on a sick day. But
Damn.
But for some reason, movies was held to a high regard. So going up there, it just felt like movie and comedy and like just like class. Because my uncles are just constantly showing you stuff. And then as soon as I could hit high school age, we had a back room. So when they'd be watching like the older movies that we'd be bored of, my uncle would be like, hey, I just bought Pineapple Express on DVD. You should check out Seth Rogen. Here's Freaks and Geeks. You should check this out.
Oh, man.
Because Seth Rogen was in this and Judd Apatow made this. And so he would kind of put me on to like all this game, and then he'd be like, oh, you should watch the Ramones documentary or the Bob Dylan documentary. And like, so my uncles were like an encyclopedia of like cool movies and music.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's kind of where I nerd out.
Right.
In that sense.
Yeah. Yeah. You've always been like you're close-knit family. That's always my impression of you, you know?
Yeah.
And that's also a thing about Pittsburgh specifically, is that people kind of, their family, it's a city, but people, you know, live like their families are like 10 minutes away, you know what I mean?
I lived in East Etna, they lived in West Etna. So it was literally on each sides of Etna, and so every Sunday you go, and it's cheaper. When you have a big family meal on Sunday, everyone cooks together, it's just like...
That's awesome,
it's
man.
a way
That's really nice.
to bring the squad in and stuff
Hell
like
yeah.
that. And so now it's a little bit harder with my parents being in Florida. My sister is in Tennessee now. My brother's in Philly. So...
Oh, wow.
It's kind of... So now it's interesting because they have kids, and so... I grew up with like my uncles every Sunday learning these stuff. And so now I want to implement these stuff, but it's hard when you're on like a 3-day trip.
True.
So now making more plans of like making an effort where it's like, okay, I need to stop down like 4 times a year. And one of these weeks needs to just be like, hey, Aaron, I'm showing them some sick movies.
I'm showing them No Country
like,
for Old Men.
Yeah,
okay?
so some classics, or like we're doing some stuff like that just to instill that. Because I think it's important. I think it builds character and stuff like that. There's so many subcultures now. I don't even like blame kids, but growing up there was like the family TV. So like when my dad came home, I had to watch MASH, and Timmy Turner got shut off. Like no more Family Odd Parents because my dad's watching MASH. And then guess what? Alan Alda is now the coolest fucking guy to you, and you get to find out all this shit. But I wouldn't have learned about these shows if my dad would have been like, here's your iPad, I'm watching MASH. And now you don't have a reason to have like this communal thing. So I don't even blame them.
Right.
Because you have like subcultures of shit you're into. But I kind of miss like being forced to watch The King of Queens, or being forced to watch these fucking shows and movies, or like come down on a Sunday. I don't even realize my dad has the Sunday scaries of anxiety. So he has fucking Platoon on. And I'm like, I want to watch this. And he's like, we're watching Platoon. So I'm just chilling on the couch watching Platoon. And I'm like, holy fuck, this is William Dafoe's a fucking badass. You know, like you miss out on those things. I think you miss out on those relationships having all these subcultures, which stinks, but you know, quality and quantity, or, you know.
Well, that's the second Willem Dafoe reference we've made in the last 2 episodes.
Yeah, I heard he has a big cock.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah.
It's actually what I said last time.
But he has a big face. So I think structurally, if you go by mammals' bones,
Yeah.
I don't know. That just sounded Joe Rogan like.
I've seen him once.
William Dafoe?
Willem Dafoe walking the street with a
I
very
wasn't
young
sure
woman.
if his cock was in third person.
I mean,
I've
listen,
seen him once.
I've seen
It
him.
was the cock in a...
The man starred in a movie. He played Jesus and he played the Antichrist. I mean, that's range.
That is range. That's the full circle. That's the Serpa, the snake eating its tail.
But it's interesting because he's a very odd looking guy, right?
Yes, he is. He seems like he's deforming when he talks. He's a very animatronic, amazing man. He's a guy that I want to have me show a house tour, but I hope to God I can leave after. You know, like he seems like he has cool
You're
relics.
staying with me, Jeff.
Yeah. This is the Green Goblin mask.
I'm a bit of a comedian myself.
Write me a hot 10 or else you don't leave. That would be great.
That would be great. So I started growing this hair after watching this movie called Love Lies Bleeding.
Oh, yeah?
Where Ed Harris had a skullet, you know? And I started growing it kind of as a goof, you know? But now that I'm doing it, it feels very freeing, and it feels kind of like an act of rebellion in some ways, you know?
Yes.
You know, don't put me in a box, you know what I
No,
mean?
bad boy.
So I'm kind of curious, has there ever been anything in your life where you said, you know what, maybe my friends, maybe my family don't want me to do this thing. Maybe society as a whole, maybe my boss, maybe my principal, they don't want me to do this thing,
Yes.
but I gotta.
Yes. And it was during a stint of looking back on it, deep depression.
Okay, all right, like where this is going.
I grew a mustache, and it was a very thick.
I remember the mustache.
Yes.
This is that mustache?
No one wanted it, and it was at a time where I think I was like a masochist at the time because I knew that I was going to get shit on for it.
Yeah.
I felt insecure about having it, but I just fucking wanted it.
Mm-hmm.
It was one of those things where I was like, fuck you.
Yeah.
And then also what came with that, though, was like I was getting hit on, but by people that like that fuck you guy, like the amount of thruples that asked me to go home with them after shows, 5 people, different people after shows asked me to go home with them because of the mustache. And they said that after, like, you just don't give a fuck. Like, and I'm like,
wow.
Well, that hurts. Because, like, I do. So, like, don't make me off to be this. I was like, you don't give the right. Because you just, like, look like this and you have that. And I know I'm seeing your face. You're like, because when I say this, people are like, dude, that's awesome. Like, what'd you say? And stuff like that. It's never, like, the people that ask me, they look really bad, dude. Like, it's like a sector of people that it's like idiocracy. It's like a people at GameStop that are trying to sell a PlayStation 2 as a couple.
Oh no.
You know what I'm saying?
Drug addicts.
Yes. And even if it was, like, I've had, like, I'm not into that.
Yeah.
I was growing the mustache because I was lost and I wanted to feel something. And at that time, it was a mustache. Mm-hmm. But it did give off a vibe of, like, I don't give a fuck because I didn't.
Yeah.
But I really did. But that was my rebellion moment. We're even looking back on certain pictures and stuff like that where it is very funny. Like, I have a stand-up set that I uploaded of me having it. Mm-hmm. And it's fucking wild looking back on it because it's like, I don't know. I also had a pinky ring at the time.
That's so cool.
I was wearing an owl pinky ring and I had a mustache. Tell me if, like, who hurt me at this time that I was wearing an owl pinky ring?
Bro, I don't know what this says about me, but ever since I've been going to Skullet, I've been wearing a tiki necklace.
You're wearing is that the Brady Bunch tiki necklace from the Cousin
Dude,
Oliver episode?
This is why I don't go surfing, okay? Because of that episode and this tiki necklace.
Well, no, that's sick. But Ronnie, the difference between you doing this at this time where I was is I didn't have my stuff together, and you do. And this is calculated. And my ring wasn't calculated. I will say it did come after a time where after a comedy
We have been advised from Jeff's legal counsel to redact this portion of the story.
we actually have to cut this because the guy running the show told me that I'm not allowed to tell this story. And now I'm realizing because I'm high.
Sorry about that, folks. We just had a technical difficulty, but we're going to try to figure out where we were and just cut right back in there.
So more of the story that we had to cut a little bit,
Yeah.
the main chunk is that if you do have an interaction with someone in the crowd, and even if they mishear you
Yeah.
and stuff like that, I think that intention is everything. So maybe what I've kind of turned it into, instead of being like maybe doing a quick joke about her being like, wait, that's why you don't tie your shoes, like something like that, I became more of a hype person where you can like still say something funny, like we did Sergio's.
Yeah, it was a great show.
Which was
Yeah.
a hair place, and and Sergio's
You killed, bro.
well, you set up great shows, but it was very intimate. And the owner shook my hand when we met, and he's a very tall guy, very in shape and stuff like that. And so I wanted to say something about him. And before, I would be like, well, this guy probably thinks he's better than me or something like that, to put yourself down, but in a different way where I'm like, can we have a round of applause for this guy? When does a guy that good looking with that type of frame shake a guy's hand like me and say thank you? Unless we were in Vegas and I just had sex with his wife and it was a weird thing. After he was like, I love that. And it's a way where he's still in the power.
Sure.
But you can still do a weird tag about it and make a joke. And that's what I've learned with like not even crowd work or just crowd interactions. And instead of maybe going for like the quick jab, maybe go for the quick like funny uppercut that brings us both up, but you can still kind of add it in there. You know? So no, you shouldn't assault someone if you mishear them, but maybe figure out how you can control that. And I think of just hosting so many different VFW shows still and over the years, and like just doing every random different room in the Berg bus where you have to like handle like 50 to 60 people BYOB drunk and host that. It just teaches you how to interact with people in less of a defensive way. more like this is my art form, and more of like you're in the power, like making them look stupid, kind of let them talk themselves into stupidity.
Sure.
And then just shine a light on whatever stupid thing they just said.
Yeah.
And like, that's been helpful. So I didn't want to get
Redacted.
me, but you got to learn something. You got to at least say, how did I get here sometimes? You know, you can't be the victim.
Totally. Well, that's great, man. That's a great lesson to learn. I just did this show at Red Fish Bowl over the weekend.
Great spot right here in Lawrenceville.
And I was talking about my Skullet.
Yeah.
You know, and I saw a bald guy in the crowd, and I did talk to him, and I just asked him when he was, when he lost his, right? And you could probably see where this is going.
Yes.
But and then after the show, because he didn't say anything. And then I was just like, oh, the strong silent type. I like that. And whatever. So then I just went back into whatever, right?
Yeah.
And then, of course, after the show, his wife tells me that he actually is in chemotherapy or whatever, right? And I'm like, and this thing is, you know what I mean? You got to take chances. But also, I mean, I've been doing bald stuff for so long. This has never happened to me.
Yeah.
And maybe it has happened to me. No one's ever said anything.
Yeah.
His wife said it after the show or whatever. I don't know. She kind of did it in a way. It didn't feel like she was scolding me. It was more or less just like, I don't know. It was that, but
Maybe
it was
she
a way
was
of,
saying, does it add to the joke? Like,
I think she was saying maybe why he didn't respond.
oh yeah, just answering to him.
But it just was like, yeah, that's also a possibility, obviously.
Yeah.
So just like it's all data, and it just obviously it's you wish it didn't happen, but also, for the next time, you know what I mean?
100%.
But
it is also like oh fuck, because in that moment,
of course,
you're just trying. I feel like people don't realize is yes, a lot of stand up is calculated, and we do practice material and go up of it, but a lot of it is, especially once you get comfortable in the place that you're in as well, where you're headlining, you've been doing it for a long time, is that when you get comfortable like that on stage, where you're hanging out with your friends, you're taking shots in the gym. So sometimes you're taking some Steph Currys from the half court because you're in the mojo. And we've all been there where, especially my favorite moments, where my girlfriend now in high school, she would come up for Sunday dinners, and I'm the youngest in my family. So when I would try to make like semi-raunchy or out there jokes, it would be a record scratcher, or it would be like stop and look. And she would love those moments because I'd sit in it, where I would kind of like, I kind of like those moments because you'd take a shot where everyone would be like, yeah, Johnny's crazy. He doesn't know what he's doing. I'm like, you see the way that he walks? What a weirdo. And everyone's like, and it's like, but sometimes it's fun where like, if you're in your element, you're going to take those shots. And sometimes people just need to realize it's like, if it's a hot room, we're going, not everything's calculated. We're not trying to hurt your feelings. We're literally just taking shots. Like, we're literally just throwing them out there. And sometimes when they land, you take the shots and they make it, you're like, holy shit. But sometimes they fucking hit the rim hard, and you get that information after.
What can you do?
And it's all about how you handle it after, which you just were like, oh shit, my bad. But I think intention's everything, and the fact she wasn't pissed off of you knows that you are a good dude, and you're just out there to do laughs. That's why I like you. There's certain people at open mics where I've been doing comedy in Pittsburgh for probably 6 or 7 years now, and when you go out to certain mics, you don't watch everyone. But there's still people that you get excited for when you see them, because you know they're going to try new stuff or take those shots. You including are one of those people that are always taking shots and are just flat out goofy. You're a goofy fucking dude, Ronnie. So that's why I like you, especially your characters. Like, you were one of the first dudes that whenever I saw was actually trying different characters, where you would come back on stage doing a totally different person and stuff like that. So I think taking shots, stuff like that, she wasn't mad, because it's kind of in your essence of your vibe whenever you do stand-up, is you're going for it. You're taking those shots, you're doing it, and it helps that you do a lot of jokes per minute. You have a New York style of comedy, an East Coast style that you're hitting them with a lot. So it's the fact that even if that one didn't hit them, that was a tag on top of your other 50 tags that are easier to gloss over if you instead you have like 3 jokes and people had to sit in that moment for the rest of your minute joke. It helps that you're Mike Tyson punching them to kind of keep the momentum going forward in that sense. So keep taking shots, because you're shooting with an AK.
Oh, well,
just fucking do that,
Well, thanks, man. That was really nice of you, man.
Mm-hmm.
I did want to mention this just because you said this before the pod, and I just wanted to say it. We did have at that show at Red Fish Bowl.
Yeah.
We had Vinny from
the Keto Guido.
The Guido. You can say that.
The Keto Guido, Vinny Guananito.
from Jersey Shore, from MTV's Jersey Shore,
Yes.
came in and did a little 10-minute set. It was a very fun little surprise. Your friend was there, he said?
Yes, my friend texted me, and these are the friends that we text happy birthday every 5 years to each other,
yeah.
just because you remember, and we had a few cool moments. Shout out Washington, D.C. You saved my life in the whirlpool. Could have died without you, Cody. But he texted me, and he said, I don't know if I'm this drunk, but I'm at Red Fishbowl right now at a Don't Tell show, and fucking Vinny from Jersey Shore's on
Hell
stage
yeah.
telling jokes, and I'm like, holy shit. And so that's what I was wondering. Did he, was it just a pop-in? Was he in the area? What's the deal with
I
that?
think he said he was in Pittsburgh for work, but
That's
Tracy Carnazzo from, I knew her from New York. She was, I forget who she was opening for, but I just happened to know she was in New York. I think she was doing like one of the theaters around here. And I was like, oh shit, well, if you're in town, you want to do some time on this show and that show, it'd be very, very good. And she's a very funny comic. And she's like, oh, I didn't even know you were in Pittsburgh or whatever, but not going to be able to make it.
Yeah.
So I guess she's friends with old Vinny there.
Yeah.
And so she reached out and she's like, hey, Vinny's looking to do some time, drop-in style, are you at any shows? I'm like, fucking yeah, we got a show.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like that's the cool thing about the Don't Tell shows. We don't advertise it. So what a fun surprise for 50 people in Lawrenceville, where suddenly it's like, here's a guy who's on a really popular show on MTV and whatever it would come to do with time. So it was like fun to be able to do that, and we gave him, he like went third. He did like 8 to 10 and he split, but it was cool, man. It was a really cool thing to do. Yeah.
Well, I'm still a comedy fan in the sense where I don't know, it's kind of just always been my outlet, so I just like looking into it. And I've noticed in the past couple of years he's been popping more like on Chris DiStefano's pods and a bunch of those other pods, wanting to learn stand-up and wanting to go kind of dive into it. And he's the first person to talk crap on himself being like that, but if you go on his Instagram and watch his reels, stuff like that, he is actually trying to put the reps in and go up in the cellar. And so the fact he asked to be on the show and did the 10 minutes and split is cool to hear as a comic, because when you kind of hear people that come from the TV world, they kind of want to like, they're not doing a spot. They want to make the whole show for them. Like, even if they don't have the time, they want to do it.
Right.
So to come in and do a good amount of time, have a good taste in Pittsburgh's mouth and stuff like that, it makes me happy to hear in a comic sense when you see an outsider in that sense from that world jump in. So I think that's cool. And that's why Don't Tell is cool, because you can kind of do it in that format and shit like that.
Yeah, man.
Because you always hear, like, I don't know. I feel like it's easy to be a hater in that sense, but comedy is a quick way of showing you if someone's doing good or bad, so people can talk and stuff like that. So that's why I want to see a set, because I've only seen like Instagram and stuff online and him talking about it and stuff. So my friend said he really liked it. So
hell yeah, man. I actually ran to do Bantha T-Bar, so I did 5 minutes and I split, so I didn't able to, but I heard him get a big laugh, and I'm like, okay, cool, and then we left,
Fuck yeah.
But it's so funny because I had my camera, and I did like 5 before him, right before I said the bald thing, right, and I left, right, but I turned my camera off, but I was like watching the tape yesterday, and I saw his intro, and then someone just goes, what? that was a crowd reaction. Like, what the heck, So anyway, that was a cool thing. For sure.
Well, you never think in Lawrenceville, especially like out of all places.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? But yeah, Don't Tell. I went golfing with my friend Jake, and we got put with these 2 random dudes last weekend, and we're golfing with them, and we find out that like after the second tee, he starts talking. And he's like, "Yeah, I like Bert. I like him when he's with Tom." And then they start talking about Tim Dillon, and then we start bringing up to them different comedians, and they're like saying super inside baseball comics and stuff like that. And he's like, yeah, I mean, I got really into Nick Thune when I was starting out. He's but he's like, I'm more of a Johnny Pepperton guy. And I was like, holy shit. So then I was talking to my friend Jake, though, as we're driving away after like the 8th hole of talking comedy. And I'm like, even 4 years ago, comedy wouldn't be in a zeitgeist where 2 randoms are talking inside baseball, how like him and I talked, because that's him and I's connecting factor like 4 or 5 years ago, sending each other's episode of You Made It Weird and stuff like that. But now to be on a golf course and see 2 dudes that like were way older than us just talking about comedy like that as if it was like sports or in the zeitgeist is pretty fucking sick. And I know everyone says the comedy boom, but comedy's fucking young, and I know so many people my age that come out to shows and it's their first fucking comedy show. So I don't think comedy's gonna have a boom, and I just think like it's only getting bigger in that sense of people like actually talking about it in that sense. It's like it's in the lexicon of them knowing like the inside baseball. Like those guys now when they go to show know not to talk during shows because they listen to podcasts of comedians bitching about certain ways of people talking. Like it just creates a better ecosystem.
Yeah.
And so hearing that was like the first time I saw comedy not in a comedy setting, and it was refreshing. Where I was like, oh fuck yeah. And so at the end, they were bringing up how they wanted to go to the Improv, and they weren't able to get tickets.
Oh.
And so they were like, but they're like, we always go all the time. And they're like, but we're always looking. But they're like, we found out recently there was like a boxing gym near us that like threw on some type of show. I think it was like Don't Tell something. And I was like, yeah, my friend Ronnie runs that.
Yeah.
So I gave him like the Don't Tell information and my information and stuff. So hopefully they'll start going to those shows. But that's just like comedy, man. It's actually starting to like... It's not just like our nerdy little subculture. I feel like people are starting to fucking give a shit about it.
People dig it. Yeah, I think it was like my girlfriend's friend was just like, I'm kind of thinking about I'm getting into comedy right now. Where should I go or whatever? So yeah, I think like the normies are into it. So that's nice, man. But that's great, dude. What do you got? You got anything coming up?
Yeah, busy. When's this coming out, man?
This will come out next Tuesday.
Even better. So September 6th, I am going to be at Cafe Conomingo.
All right.
Chris Nackis, he runs a great room over there in Wexford. September 14th, I'm closing out the Chipped Ham Comedy Show, so please check that out.
Hell yeah.
On the 20th, I'm going to be at Sharpsburg Distillery. Chrissy Costa has a show. On the 21st is my friend Joey's wedding. I wrote that in the comedy section because that's the only time I look at stuff of importance when I look at my comedy dates. So you got to put life stuff. On the 22nd, I will be hosting my friend Young Guy Burkett's music show. I love music, and some of my favorite bands are in it, and he asked me to host it, so I'm fucking pumped. So I'm going to be bringing up the band. So come out to that. Young Guy Burkett, Back Alley Sound. Go on their social media. Tickets are for that. And on the 26th, I'll be at Arcade Comedy Theater. This guy, Josie's funny, does really funny YouTube videos. He's from somewhere in Ohio, I believe. I became friends on Instagram. He's traveling this way, really good videos, and he's throwing a comedy show there. So check that out as well. So September's packed. Follow me at Jeff_Fieldhouse on Instagram, Jeff Fieldhouse on Twitter. I'm going to be uploading more stuff on YouTube. I'm working on dropping a nice little 15 to 20 minute thing on my birthday for Christmas.
All right, yeah.
Check that out. Keep in the works. But Ronnie, you're the man. Thanks for having me. This podcast has been great.
Of course, man. Yeah, just make sure you check out Jeff. He's a sure thing. So please check him out. And that's been it for us. Please review and subscribe. That would help out a lot.
Please
give us some thumbs up and comment and stuff on the YouTube. And that's the Skullet Podcast. I've been Ronnie Fleming. Remember, folks. Not all growth is good, but just keep it in the back of your head.